Hi, welcome to ONFORM Pilates. We're going to start off with my top 5 exercises to introduce you to Pilates and start activating your core. We're going to start off with the toe taps. So you want to start off with one foot up in tabletop. You want to start with a little bit of a bubble of air underneath your lumbar spine and your tummy button really nice and drawn in to activate those transverse abs. As you're breathing out, you're going to dip that toe down, breathing in to come back. Breathing out, pulling in that belly button, softening those ribs into the front of the hips, breathing in to come back. You want to make sure that you're keeping the same degree of flexion between your thigh and your shin, so that 90 degrees. And as you're dipping down, you're just dipping that toe into honey and breathing in to slowly draw it back. We're going to do 6 on each side. And as you get better, you'll be able to bring both legs up into tabletop, but this is a great starting off position. We're swapping sides now, breathing out to bring that toe up into tabletop, breathing in to prepare, and breathing out, dipping that toe down, breathing in to come back. As you're breathing out, drawing that tummy button in and really flattening off those ribs into the front of the hips. You do not want them to flare or pop or arch through the lower back. Breathing out nice and slowly. Breathing in to come back. We're moving into a bridge now, so draw those heels in a little bit closer towards your bottom. We're going to start with some pelvic tilts, which is just to mobilize our lumbar spine. Breathe in to prepare, and as you're breathing out, I want you to zip up pelvic floor, hollow out those abs, pick up that tailbone, and gently draw your tailbone up just to your waistband, engage those glutes. Breathe in, and then breathe out as you roll it back down, ending with your tailbone. Again, you're breathing in to prepare, breathing out, zip and hollow, pulling up your tailbone, and now you're growing into a nice long line from shoulders, hips to knees. Breathing in to hold, and then as you're breathing out through a straw, soften your back down on the mat one vertebrae at a time. Breathing into the sides of your ribs, and as you're breathing out, pick up that tailbone, growing into that nice long line. Breathing in here to hold. Then as you're breathing out through a straw, soften one vertebrae, melting your spine back down on that mat, rolling out that tailbone. Breathing into the sides of your ribs, and as you're breathing out, pick up that tailbone, imprint that back to the mat, and grow your spine tall like a chain of pearls being picked up. Breathing in to pull those arms up over your back, and as you're breathing out through that straw, soften those ribs really firmly down to the front of those hips as you're rolling your spine back down, following with your arms. Breathing in. And then as you're breathing out, again, picking up your tailbone, growing into that nice long line, one vertebrae after the other, breathing in to float the arms over the ears. And as you're breathing out, melting that spine back down, keeping those ribs knitted into the front, breathing in to bring those legs down. We're going to roll up now and come into a 4-point kneeling position for some modified swimming. You want to set yourself up here in the 4-point kneeling position, so hips want to be stacked over knees and shoulders stacked over wrists. Breathe in to prepare, and as you're breathing out, zip and scoop those abs. Send your right arm and left leg gliding away, and imagine you've got a pole through your hips, holding them level. Breathe in to hold, and as you're breathing out, you want to bring that arm and leg, drawing them down with resistance, keeping really level through that back. Breathe in, and as you're breathing out, send the opposite arm and leg again up to the top. Breathe in to hold, and as you're breathing out, come down. Breathe in to prepare, and as you're breathing out, arm and legs stretch away. Feel like you're being pulled fingertip to toe as you breathe in, and then breathe out, draw slowly down, keeping really nice control. Breathe in at the bottom, and as you're breathing out, send that arm and leg away. Stay even through the hips and through the shoulders. You don't want to slump or drop down on your hip or your shoulder. Breathing out to come back. This is a great exercise for lengthening out your back and giving more length into your spine, keeping your lumbo-pelvic stability switched on. When you're breathing out to come down and to come up, think about that zip and that lift to that pelvic floor and scooping out those abs. That way you're really accessing into that core strength at the same time as taking the stability away and challenging yourself in that regard. Breathe in at the bottom. As you're breathing out, think about nice long limbs. It's not about height with that leg at the back. It's about making sure your hips don't hitch up or hitch down. So you're thinking about length over height. Also, you want to keep your neck nice and elongated. So think about length out of the crown of your head, like you've got a string pulling you away and you haven't got your chin raised up. Breathe in to prepare again. As you're breathing out, drop your head, curl your tailbone, pressing through your arms, bringing your spine to a C shape. Breathe in. Then as you're breathing out, zip, scoop those abs, tailbone points behind you, roll through your spine, pull your chest through your arms. And then as again, breathing out, drop head heavy, tailbone curving around into that C shape. Breathing in, breathing out, tailbone goes behind you, pulling your chest through your arms, keeping your head in alignment. Again, breathing out, head goes heavy, tailbone curls under. Turn those toes under at the back and float those knees out as you're breathing out, pulling that tummy button into spine. Breathing in and then breathing out, tailbone goes to the wall behind you. Once again, breathing in and breathing out, turn those toes under, tailbone's heavy, head's nice and heavy, C-shaped curve in the back, pressing into those arms, lift those knees up as you're breathing out. Breathing in, then breathe out, tailbone goes behind you. We're going to press out into a shell stretch here, feeling length from your tailbone all the way out through the crown of the head and extending out through those fingertips. Inside lying glutes, you want to be lined up in a line with your knees drawn in towards you, heels towards your bottom. So you want to be set up ankles, hips, shoulders. You can pop a little cushion underneath your head to keep your neck a little bit more raised up if it's comfortable. Breathe in, and as you're breathing out, keeping your heels glued, you're going to float that top knee up and then drop it down. Most important thing to remember in this exercise is you want to have a stake going through your hips, keeping them stacked, so that when your knee floats up, you don't want to roll back at all through that hip. So it may be that you can't come up very far, but that is your level. So you want to stick to that level, because the area you're working into, glute med, is going to be accessed by only coming up as far as you can without rolling back through that hip. As you're breathing out, you're floating those heels up into the air and hovering them there. And then breathing out, you're going to float that top knee up, once again keeping those hips stacked. And then breathing in to float down. We want to make sure that our ribs are really nice and softened into the front of our hips. The only thing we want moving is that knee floating up and then floating down through sticky tar. We want to keep the rest of our body really still, especially our top part of our body, because it's just our lumbo pelvic stability that we're working on through here, and also really getting that slow burn going in our glute. You can rest that bottom leg down, extend that top leg long, pushing your length through your heel. You want your legs straight down your body, and you want to be doing lift and lowers at hip height and above. But make sure you don't crush that little bit of space underneath your waist. You want to be able to make sure that that stays there. So it's about length over height. Keep that foot parallel to the ground, so even through little toe to heel. All right, we're going to breathe in. As you breathe out, you're going to sweep your foot forward at tabletop, flex and draw it back. Point and sweep, flex and draw. You want to keep it at that same level hip height. And when you go, you want to make sure that your ribs are nice and tucked into the front of those hips and that you're not sticking your bottom out. You want to keep that nice stability through your pelvis and stillness through your upper body, so you're not overcompensating. Keep those hips nice and stacked. Turn your toe to the ceiling and 10 little pulses. Keeping those hips stacked, turn those toes to the floor and 10 more little pulses. You want to make sure the rest of the body is staying nice and still. Breathing in, and now we're going to do little circles in one direction, tennis balls, nice and small. Now we're going to reverse that motion, so we're going back 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're holding that leg at hip height, keeping that hip stacked, and we're climbing up the wall, heel, toe, keeping that little space under our waist and back down again. These are like little incy-wincy spiders up the drain pipe, getting into that internal and external rotation of our hip. We can rest that leg down and you can stretch it out. So we're going to do the pretzel stretch. So the leg you worked goes over your bent leg. You bring your arms through the gap and you pull that leg towards you. You can keep your foot nice and flexed. That really turns on that stretch a little bit more. And use your breath to sink in. So breathe in. And then as you're breathing out, you can draw that leg in a little bit closer. Have a nice inhale again. And then as you're breathing out, lean into that supporting leg a little, and that can also access it to a deeper level. You want to give it a nice long stretch. And now we're going to roll over and we're going to do the other side. So again, set yourself up, make sure you're in a nice long line from shoulders to hips to ankles. So draw those knees in. Make sure your ankles are underneath your bottom and not backwards or forwards. Have a little check, breathing in, and then as you're breathing out, keep that space up underneath your waist, your lower waist. Keep those hips stacked. As you're breathing out, draw up that knee and breathe in to slowly come down through sticky honey or tar. You don't want to rush it, because a lot of strength can be gained from that downward control. So once again, we're keeping the top half of our body really still, and we're just working slow and steady into that glute med. We're going to float our heels off, keeping those hips stacked, float that top knee up and closing again. Make sure you keep those ribs nice and tucked in. Also think about keeping that shoulder away from your ear. You can place your hand over that glute to feel it working a little bit more. Sometimes that can give you a better mind connection. And you want to go nice and slow. Rest that bottom leg down, top leg nice and long, pushing that wall away. Think about length. And we're doing lift and lowers from hip height and above. Make sure you don't squash that lower waist. So think about length over height. It doesn't matter if you can't get too tall. Think about pushing through the heel. Think about staying still through the rest of your body as well. You can use your hand with 5 fingers to support you if you need. Now we're going to breathe out, point the toe and sweep it forward like we're going over a table. Flex and draw back to the midline. Point and sweep, flex and draw. Point and sweep nice and even like you're going over a table at one length. Point and sweep, flex and draw to come back. Nice and slow and steady and controlled. If you find you're overcompensating in your top body and you're moving around a little bit, don't sweep out so high. So you're just really coming to a smaller degree, like maybe 20 degrees instead of 30. Drawing your leg back to hip height now, keeping hips stacked, turn those toes up to the ceiling, 10 pulses. What we're doing here is really getting into that external rotation muscles, turning our toe down now in 10 pulses, keeping nice and still through the upper body. You can use your hand to support you if you need. And we're doing 5 circles, 3, 2, nice and still with the rest of the body, small and slow. And reverse those circles, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to go into our incy wincies. So we're going toe, heel, and back down again to hip height. Stretching out that leg now. That leg goes over the top of the knee, drawing it towards you. Breathing in, and then as you're breathing out, draw that knee in, stretching out that glute. Breathing in, and then as you're breathing out, you can lean into that supporting leg a little bit. Giving it a nice, long, deep stretch. You can also use your lifting your pelvic floor as you're breathing out, scooping those abs, and that can also just deepen it. So that's my top 5 Pilates exercises to start you off getting your core activated.